Your warehouse has fork truck traffic blind spots. Collision awareness does not. Their motion sensing safety systems detect fork truck traffic and alert workers at intersections, overhead doors, and other high-risk zones. Proudly made in the U.S., their products help reduce the risk of accidents by giving your employees additional visibility or potential traffic just around the corner. Visit collisionawareness.com to build a safer warehouse. That's collisionawareness.com to make your warehouse safer.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I am going to be joined by Andrew Wallen, and he is the Director of Distribution at ITF Group. And today, we are going to talk about drop trailers, something that ITF Group specializes in, and we're going to dive into the world of drop trailers, drop and hook, and we're going to talk all about that and their drop trailer solution and how that benefits a warehouse operation and an organization and company overall. And we're going to talk a little bit too about, how maybe that might be beneficial with some of the things going on in the world right now around supply chain shifts and uncertainty. So, Andrew, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Definitely. Happy to get you on. Happy to talk about this topic, a very niche topic, I will say, in our world. So I'm excited to dig into this and learn more about it. So before we do that, why don't you just give us a brief overview of ITF Group and tell us what your company is all about?
Yeah, so we try to be the one-stop shop for logistics solutions. So from transportation, warehousing, global forwarding, kind of bundling everything in one, and each one of us kind of having a specialized section of the logistics arm. So we're able to help customers through various strategies that they need to overcome in the logistics side.
Gotcha. Okay. I like that. And definitely handling all those logistics solutions. Today, we're specifically going to talk about these drop trailer solutions that you focus on and have within your wheelhouse and your service offering. And I saw recently, you guys announced you're going to be adding another 800 to 1,000 trailers for the drop trailer solutions, right? So I guess before we kind of dive into that and talk a little bit about how ITF handled this, I guess for people that maybe are not familiar, tell us about, what is a drop trailer exactly?
So a drop trailer would be we would bring an empty trailer to your site, be able to drop it, and then you would be able to load it at your need, or unloaded at your need. So we would be able to drop that, and then it kind of frees up dock space or whatever it has to do it. So then the driver can be dispatched to come pick it up, retrieve it, or drop another load, and hopefully gain some efficiencies within the operation that we're servicing.
Yeah, absolutely. So great explanation there, and definitely, something that I think can benefit the operation. And we're going to talk a little bit about how and go a little deeper on that too here as well. So tell us specifically for ITF Group about your drop trailer solutions, because drop trailers are used by many in different ways. So tell us specifically about your solution.
Yeah, so we're able to drop trailers either in a yard or within a dock door itself. We do a lot with like CPG and larger manufacturers as well that have the yard space that we're able to drop multiple trailers. That could be for outbound or for inbound. So if we're doing the inbound solution, we're able to just drop them in the yard and not wait for a live offload. Or if it's an inbound solution, we're able to take the straight and stage them empty. And then if the site has a capability of jockeying them over to the dock door, then they can load them at their leisure and then let us know when the shipment's ready to be dispatched and picked up. and hopefully freeing up some of that dock space, or not waiting on us, because we all know things happen whenever trucks are on the road, traffic,
Mhm.
run out of hours, whatever it is. Breakdowns do happen, that we're able to just pick them up and not hold up that operation from their day to day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a big win there, because there is, you mentioned it there, when those trucks are on the road, you never know what could happen, right? Or where there's going to be traffic, or they get held up at another pickup or another drop off or something, and then the whole day is kind of thrown off a little bit, right? Because you can only drive so fast, or at least we hope, right, that we stay within
Yep.
the speed limit, somewhere close, right? So tell us a little bit, from the operation perspective, and you mentioned a little bit there about maybe, have some clear dock space, getting things moved when more efficiently, and things like that. But tell us a little bit about, how to kind of bring a drop and hook strategy, and why someone would want to try and bring this into their warehouse operation, and the way they do things. Like, what kind of pain points would they be feeling to decide to go with this type of strategy?
So with the drop trailer solution, we're able to take those shipments, being able to put them on, and hopefully free up dock space. Either one, to enhance your um, ability of speed to process outbound or inbound orders, free up labor instead of loads being stacked on top of each other and having to take that person on a forklift, unload and reload. And then you have bottlenecks in the dock space, especially if shipments are being delayed, or pickups or anything like that are delayed at all, or you're able to still process those out, free up that dock space to either bring in your inbound shipments or your outbound shipments, and keep your labor efficiently moving. That's the key aspect to what we want to offer, is how do you free up your labor within your warehouse that you're able to utilize that in other fashions, picking another shipment, offloading another shipment, inbounding another shipment. Um, that's one of the key things. And if you have space, you can either put them in a yard if you have a yard jockey, or if you have enough dock space, we're able to set those at the doors, and you're able to use kind of our trailers as your extension of your warehouse for dock space, and have those preloaded, or have that shipment sit there where we can just drop them. And then you don't have as many trucks out in the yard either, that can hopefully enhance your safety perspective just outside of your warehouse.
Mhm. Yeah, that's all great points there, and I think that definitely looking at where we are at in terms of trying to maximize the space that we have already. Sometimes, as you mentioned, you end up getting like loads that are on top of each other, or are backed up on the dock, maybe for reasons that we talked about earlier, or just kind of like getting to that capacity and just trying to squeeze it a little more than maybe you should, to try and do more business, which is a great thing for the business, but then creates a little bit of a strain on the operation. So being able to leverage kind of that almost external storage, in a sense, with the trailers, and have that prepped to go, certainly creates a lot more efficiencies. Now, when you do something like that, how do you kind of involve that, I guess, into your inventory management process, right? Because you have inventory inside the building, but then you also maybe have loads, whether it's outbound, inbound, in these trailers that are sitting at the dock. How do you make sure that you're accounting for all that inventory, and making sure that it's part of your inventory management process?
I think partnering with a good software provider that can do yard management or a dock scheduler, where you're able to keep track of those trailers within your facility or your trailer yard, is key. It's one of the key factors of doing that, and having a good check-in, check-out process whenever you're inbounding something or outbounding something within the facility. That way you can keep track of what loads are where. And there's lots of great platforms that can help you keep track of those trailers within your facility.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's definitely a key, right? Especially as when you get to that point where you're doing a lot of movement, and you're trying to keep track of all of that, having the technology to support and give that visibility certainly is a key thing there. So now we talked a little bit about, kind of the what, right? What is like a drop trailer strategy or solution, and why someone would want it. But now, how do you get this strategy kind of up and running? What does it look like to start to implement this into your regular workflow and be able to utilize this within your operations?
I think the biggest key factor is where can you put these trailers? How big's your lot? Do you have dock doors that you typically don't use because you don't have as much inbound or outbound in a particular side of the building that you can put them on another side of the building and use, doors that aren't effectively being used? I think that's one of the key strategies to figuring out is where can we drop these trailers if you went to a solution like this? Do you have the space and capacity? And how many trailers can you take on your site? If you can take 10 and it can efficiently help your site, that's great. If you can only take 3 and you can only put them in dock doors, but it's still effectively helping you be more efficient with your staffing and planning, it's a win also. I think that's the key perspective of like working with us is telling us what kind of space you have and how many trailers you can actually hold. Because one thing we don't want to do is provide too many trailers and it causes a bottleneck in your yard or on, your just dock area.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a key point there because you don't realize kind of the unlock and potential additional space, right? And some of those dock doors. Because I know like going into, facilities, you see all the time that they've set up some stations or set up some storage in front of dock doors because there's some extra space there, right? But it sounds like, with like a drop trailer strategy, you could actually extend that space even more. So I'm curious, how often do you see that operations are sort of underutilizing these dock doors, and what kind of unlock does it allow them to have from a space utilization perspective?
A lot of times when it's just the traditional distribution center, there's a lot of, especially in modern facilities, there's a lot of unused dock doors typically. And it depends on the customer's volume. Are they producing a large amount of items and they have a lot of flow that they're utilizing every door? Potentially. But with the way they're building these modern buildings, a lot of times there's doors that you're not utilizing, or you're like, as you stated, there's stuff piled in front of them because you needed the space and you kind of moved them over. Can you reorganize that space, open up those doors and allow us to put those there? And then we become an extension of your facility or your operation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm thinking like, see some people are like, well, we'll just stick all our boxes here, right? Or something, right? But you could do like so much more value. Like you take those boxes and like put them up in a rack or something, and then unlock with a drop trailer like you're talking about here. Certainly you could get more space, whether it's for storage or getting those orders staged and into the trailers that they need to be in ahead of time, right? And I think that unlocks a lot of additional efficiency as we talked about here. So could you share like an example of an operation where you've implemented the drop trailer solutions and kind of what the benefits were and the results and some of the wins afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've done several drop trailer solutions, definitely at CPG customers. And what we're able to do is we're able to just effectively make them more efficient. They had large trailer lots. We're able to drop 10 to 15 trailers, and then they actually have a spotter that are able to jockey those trailers over the dock doors, load them, and effectively keep their staff moving and never have any downtime. No waiting for drivers that are behind or bottlenecking because appointments piled up because there was bad weather in the area. And that's one of the plus sides of it is you get in regions that get a lot of snow or bad winter weather, but they're able, and it's blocking them, the drivers, to get to their site to pick up, and it's bottlenecking their appointments. They're able to take those, still load them, put them out in the yard, or we're able to drop the trailers of inbound goods, even if they have access of 24-hour access and we're running behind, or we're able to get there early. We could potentially get your inventory a couple hours early instead of having a trailer and a driver sitting out in your lot waiting to be offloaded because we're waiting for staff to be freed up. We're able to just drop that into the trailer, and then you have the flexibility to take that trailer, put it in your door, and unload it whenever your staff, and it becomes most efficient to you. Maybe that inventory is not a timely inventory offload, and maybe it's the appointment after that one that's the one you really need to continue your business. You're able to make those choices on your own and what your operational needs are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's such a great point there too, is that, if you drop the trailer, right, you don't have to have a driver waiting, right? And it could be early, right? Like maybe you got some back orders, you're waiting on this inventory to come in, and the appointment's for 1 p.m., right? But, all of a sudden, oh, well, we can actually get it in earlier, like 9 a.m., right? So you could potentially, drop that, get it there and unload it and get orders out that same day, right? To catch up a little bit on the back orders. So, I mean, I think it's a really interesting point there, and it takes away some of that waiting as well. Now, tell us a little bit, because, part of like the idea of the drop and hook, right, is to create that efficiency where, you're not dropping a trailer and then have a truck leaving with no trailer, right? The idea is that you're dropping a trailer and then you're taking something with them, which is creating more efficiency for, the operation that it's happening at, but also for like the trucker and the carrier that's driving the trucks too as well. So tell us a little bit about, how do you kind of coordinate that? Because that takes some planning to get that right. So tell us a little bit about how do you plan that, and how do you work with the operation to make sure that like the timing on something like that is happening right.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Struggling with scanning errors and peeling labels? Moving or reconfiguring your warehouse? Implementing a new WMS? The wrong labels can slow your operation down. Luckily, ID Label has durable, scannable barcode labels and signs built to last and keep your operation moving. Plus, if you need to get those labels installed, they've got it covered. Their expert team installs rack labels, overhead signs, floor striping, and more with precision, so your warehouse operations continue uninterrupted. I've installed tens of thousands of labels in my career, and I wish I had someone else do it for me. Get a free sample pack at idlabelinc.com, because when they do the barcodes, you can do more. That's idlabelinc.com for a free sample pack and more information.
Yeah, I think the key thing is just letting us know when the shipment needs to be there, when our pickup is, or when our drop off is. The other thing is really having a good dock scheduling program too, or an appointment scheduling program of how you're able to manage those shipments inbound and outbound. Because once we're able to know that, or the operational hours, what are your operational hours? Are we landlocked into an 8 to 5? Or is there an exterior key fob or something, or a code that we can punch in to get into a yard or a facility to swap those even overnight, and we're able to make you efficient even during your non-operational hours? Or do you have a guard shack that is open 24 hours? You may run a skeleton crew on a third shift, but we're able to get in and out and be able to pick those up or drop those off and keep you replenished with those empty trailers or those pickups. I think that's always key. It's just the communication piece to us of what your needs are, because every business is so different on what they need to operationally stay strong. So I think the big key is just we have to work closely with our customers and hear their pain points. When we hear those, then we try to put a program together, take all their needs and what their operational shortcomings are, and try to strategize around that and work with that customer.
Interesting. Yeah. And you mentioned in there, having a good dock scheduling program, right? And you mentioned earlier too about having like some good yard management technology or something in there. So is that something that you utilize on your side, or is that something that you coordinate with the operation to get kind of looped into whatever technology they're utilizing?
We typically loop into theirs, or
Okay.
if they give us appointments, our software, our TMS is able to take those. It could be via email, and we're able to put those into our TMS, and then it'll alert us when we need to be there, when we need to pick up, what their operational hours. We're able to build a profile up for them within our TMS. So the most visibility will always come if the shipper or receiver has their own technology platform that we can log into or communicate with, that we can see all those appointments live. Because when the driver gets there, it's really easy whenever if they have a kind of a check-in process or an appointment process, when that happens. Just that way the drivers, if it's all via email and someone's not on site, we're working with
Yeah.
someone, say in Texas, and we're delivering to a site in Oregon, there could be some, as we all know in warehousing, there can be some miscommunication, and the warehouse may have never
Yeah.
received notice that we're picking that up or dropping that off. Which
Miscommunication in the warehouse. You must be crazy, Andrew.
yeah. I mean, we internally in our warehouses, we use a yard management and we use a dock scheduling, and it pays us tenfold just because we do the same thing. We allow drop trailers at our doors and in our yard. We have a seasonal customer that drops trailers all summer or does drayage, and we may be busy, in the morning hours, and that driver or that shipping company may only be able to be in the morning, but they're able to drop it in a door or in a yard, and we're able to move it and offload it whenever we find the time to do it and be able to hit those shipping or receiving goals for the customer. So I think it definitely helps with knowing where the shipment is, where the inventory is going to be, whenever we're going to get to it. It just kind of builds a whole ecosystem around the shipping and receiving side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that coordination is such a key thing because, like you said, I mean, I joke about it, but yeah, I mean, miscommunication in the warehouse is certainly a thing. I've dealt with that in my past as well, and in my days in the warehouse, and yeah, so many times like driver shows up and I'm supposed to be delivering this. Oh, does anybody know? Like,
Yeah,
what this
nobody
is for?
knows.
Yeah, what this is for? No, we don't know. We don't know, right?
Or it shows up a day early or 2 days late. And you're like, wait, you're supposed to be here on Tuesday.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I think it's a great suggestion there to be able to leverage some of that technology to help you have that visibility and make sure that communication is is accessible and the information for everybody to not have those kind of slowdowns there. So now you also leverage these, my understanding, to do some cross-border shipments as well. So talk to us a little bit about that and how you kind of leverage the drop trailer solution to work with some cross-border shipments, and is there any kind of benefit there that's maybe can help right now with all of the tariff situation going on? What do you see there?
So the biggest thing with that, with having a drop trailer and for cross border, would be you're able to prep that shipment, because we all know there's going to be documentation, there's going to need everything for customs. So you're able to start building out that shipment. And a lot of times what we see with cross border shipments are customers are always changing orders, especially right now with tariffs. So you're able to start building out a trailer, and it could be a multi-order shipment. You could have maybe 4 purchase orders on that, and you could start building a shipment out with one shipment, and then the second shipment, and then whenever you have a full trailer that needs to go cross border, we can go cross border with it and be able to have all that documentation and everything prepped ahead of time. Because what we see a lot of times, of course, cross border shipments is we get to a site and they don't have everything ready yet, which in turns delays the shipment getting across the border, or waiting on paperwork that delays everything, and then the driver's sitting there, or the shipment gets done earlier than expected. No more items are going to be added to that we're able to actually get in there a little faster versus having like a stagnant appointment saying we're going to be there on Wednesday, where you can reach out to us, the trailer's already loaded, and we can come and pick it up fairly quickly and start that process for you.
Interesting. Yeah. I think it's interesting there, and that's a great point too about sometimes the driver gets there and the load's not ready yet, and the warehouse says, "Oh, it's going to be 20 minutes, right?" And I mean that means at least an hour, right? So are you seeing, with everything going on with the tariffs and stuff? I mean, are you seeing any shift in like the volume for cross-border shipments, whether it's increasing, decreasing? What are you seeing there?
I feel like shipment sizes are shrinking just because people want, if it's coming cross-border, I think there's a lot of unknown right now with the tariffs, especially each day we don't know what the tariffs are going to be. Is it a 90-day hold? Are they going to, instead of 40% tariff? Are they going to an 80%? Nobody knows right now. So I feel like a lot of people are so uncertain. They want to do just-in-time inventory. So I feel like the order size is shrinking based on possibly a 30 to 45 days sales cycle, just because they're hoping, I think all of us are hoping that the tariffs kind of shrink down back to something reasonable. And I think people are holding back the amount of supplies they're bringing in to just more of a just-in-time scenario because they don't want to pay the additional tariffs on those items.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've read a lot about that and heard from colleagues too and peers that they're trying to rush and get stuff in the country before before some of the deadlines hit and things like that. So it's very interesting to hear there. And I'm also curious, because obviously on your side, right, being able to coordinate these switches and make sure that trailers are available is another thing too, right? To make sure that you have the capacity to meet the drop trailer demand. So how do you strategize around that, and how do you make sure that there always is a trailer that can be dropped when it's needed to be dropped?
So we have a department that just strictly works on trailer pulls for our drop trailer solution. So they're always looking at the sites. So our technology allows us to see the trailers in real time in their locations. So that team can actually go into that site, go to that address, and see all the GPS locators on those trailers there. And we also have load indicators on them, so we can tell if they're loaded or unloaded. Based on that, we're able to tell if that's an inbound or outbound shipment that's been loaded, how many trailers they have, how many they're required to have. So they always want 10 and we got 12 there. Somehow they're able to reach out to that customer and be like, are you okay with 12 there? We've seen your shipments increase. Or do you have capacity to hold those 12, or would you like us to come receive those too? Or if one somehow drops down because maybe it needs maintenance done on that trailer, or something happened, maybe a tire that we had to get it replaced. We're able to add a trailer into that because the folks on that team are constantly reviewing those trailer pulls. In addition, right now, I can tell you on our trailer lot right now, we probably have close to 100 new trailers that are in the process of getting ready to hit the road. So we're consistently just adding more trailers to feed those pulls and to help future customers develop these pulls.
Yeah, I saw that you guys are going to add, as I said in the beginning, like 800 to 1,000 trailers this year, I think, right? So, I mean, I'm curious, like, how many trailers do you have out there in circulation?
I think we're north of 3,000 trailers now.
Wow.
And continuing to grow. It's a pretty constant thing here at our headquarters to see new trailers being delivered.
Interesting. Yeah. So definitely big demand for drop trailers then. So really interesting to hear that and kind of dive into the topic of drop trailers today. And obviously it sounds like something based on the conversation that operations can leverage to get more out of their existing space and also create some additional efficiencies at the dock and make some smoother inbound and outbound decisions and not have to wait on live loads and things like that. So it's really been a pleasure to talk to you here about this today, Andrew. And if people want to learn more about ITF Group, maybe they want to explore their drop trailer solutions or other services, what's the best way to do that?
The best way to do it would be go to itfgroup.com.
All right, awesome. So we will put that at thenewwarehouse.com as well as in the show notes here. So Andrew, thank you very much for joining me today on the podcast.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Enjoyed this episode? Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, and for more content from the New Warehouse, find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Links to subscribe can be found in the show notes, and for everything The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com.